It's Toma time, guys. We need to talk about the insane disrespect the UFC, Dana White, all the matchmakers are showing to Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain Sterling has been in the UFC since February of 2014. This man has been around for so long. He has done so much for the company, and for him to even get a title shot with how much the UFC apparently hates him is crazy to me in itself. This man went on a 9-fight winning streak and only lost one fight since 2018. And what does the UFC reward him with now? A prelim fight on UFC 310. Now, before I get into this insane matchmaking and placing of him on the card, let's just look at the killers Aljamain Sterling beat in order for him to become a champion and just get a title shot alone. Cody Stamann, Jimmy Rivera, Pedro Munoz, Corey Sandhagen. If you remember that fight, no one does that to Corey Sandhagen. Then he fought Peter Yan, won by DQ. If you remember the illegal knee, all the fans, everyone in the UFC world was shitting on Aljamain Sterling for getting kneed in the head, which was not his fault. And what did he do the next fight? He dominated Peter Yan and won the belt. Then what did he do after winning the belt? He beat TJ Dillashaw and he beat Henry Cejudo. Then he fights Sean O'Malley. What happens in that fight? He got clipped, he got knocked out. It wasn't a good night for him. What does he do after the Sean O'Malley fight? He goes up a weight division and beats a killer in Calvin Kattar. And what does the UFC reward him with? The UFC rewards him with being on the prelims on UFC 310. Not even the top of the prelims or the prelim starter to start the show with a bang. He is the second fight of the prelims. You have fights such as Vicente Luque versus Temba Gorimbo ahead of him. You have Dominic Reyes versus Anthony Smith ahead of him. Two journeymen who will never ever touch a belt. Then you have Nate Landwehr, I can't ever say his name, and Doho Choi. Two dudes who will never touch the belt. And then Bryce Mitchell, Kron Gracie. Who knows who put that fight together, what kind of hospital fight this is. I knew that the UFC really disliked Aljamain Sterling even when he was a champion, before he was a champion, because he was that kind of fighter who didn't say yes to everything. Now, for me personally, it is your own life. You have to do what's best in your own life. If you're not physically ready to fight someone, especially these top contenders, because you're injured or whatever else, and you say no to someone like Dana White or Hunter Campbell, that's all Aljamain has done, and the UFC has hated him for it. My opinion on fighters fighting injured and risking their career, their health, and their personal life is what is so bad about prioritizing yourself over a company that will forget about you within 5 to 10 years. Most of us, we work at retail, we work in a grocery store, we work for someone else, just like Aljamain Sterling, just like any of these UFC fighters. The company is bigger than the fighter unless you're Conor McGregor. So for you personally, let's say you're working at your job and your job is asking you to do things such as work when you're sick or you're on vacation and they need you so they call you in. Are you gonna do that? Are you gonna listen to your company that really doesn't care about you? They only need you at the moment, and as soon as they have a replacement, they can get rid of you without even saying a word? That's all Aljamain Sterling has done. He has prioritized himself, and I am not mad at him for it, and it sucks to see that the UFC is treating him so badly. This man went on a 9-fight winning streak, lost one fight since the beginning of 2018, gave the company so much pay-per-view material, and it just shows you by the way they're treating him now that you as a private contractor or just a worker for some company, you're never as important or closely important as the people above you. It is just crazy to see, man. Like, so many people are not taking this fight versus an 18-0 fighter in Movsar Evloev. Aljamain Sterling is doing it while he's being massively disrespected by the UFC. He went from champion, defending champion, to losing one single fight, and he's a prelim fighter. When has that happened before? Please tell me that such a dominant champion has received such disrespect by the people above him. I'm gonna feel bad for Aljo taking this super dangerous fight and then losing. His UFC career is probably over. The UFC wants to get rid of him so bad. And I'm nervous because this dude, he's beaten Dan Ige decision unanimous. Unanimous decision Diego Lopez, who is like about to get a title shot if he wins one more fight. You did Arnold Allen, another vicious killer. All I can hope for is that just like I did in the second Peter Yan fight, that Aljo proves the UFC wrong again. I was in the stands. I was watching it live at the stadium when Aljo fought Peter Yan in the second fight. And I was so happy when all the disrespect you guys put on him came falling back in your face. And I hope the same thing happens. And I hope that Aljo can continue to be such a dominant fighter and show the UFC that they are not getting rid of him. To you guys that truly dislike and hate Aljamain Sterling, I don't understand you. I really don't. And it all really stems from him taking a vicious knee in a fight. I know you guys aren't fighters and you probably have never been in a fight, but let's say you have been in a fight. Let's say you're Aljamain Sterling. This guy illegally knees you in the head. Are you gonna just continue to fight? Or are you gonna prioritize your family, your future generations, your children, get the belt, and go on a historic run? If Aljo decided to just keep fighting and lose that fight with more brain damage, he would have never became a champion, never have gotten all those pay-per-view points, and his career would have probably been over much sooner. He would have made so much less money, all to please the people above him, Dana White, the fans. No, and I admire Aljamain Sterling for doing it his own way and not listening to all you critics. Because I know that 10 out of 10 people watching this video are doing the same exact thing Aljamain Sterling did when he got kneed illegally in the head by Peter Yan, who didn't know the UFC rules. Then when you think the nasty work that went into Aljamain Sterling's only loss since 2018, the Sean O'Malley fight, that he was coerced to go into injured by Hunter Campbell on camera, that being his only fight, his only loss since 2018. Then he beats Calvin Kattar. Then he goes on the prelims for doing what the UFC wanted, helping them, being a company man, fighting injured. At least give him some kind of grace. I mean, what are we doing here? I don't understand it. It's frustrating, and I'm waiting for this fight this weekend because I want to see Aljamain Sterling get back to where the UFC cannot deny him, and he will be back on top of the division. If you guys still dislike Aljamain Sterling and want him to lose and wish him out of the UFC, I don't know what to tell you because I've said everything in this video that you should be able to relate to as a common person. All Aljamain Sterling has done was prioritize himself and his family. And the one time he gave in to the UFC and let them decide his future, fighting injured, he lost. Let the Aljamain Sterling disrespect end. He is not a prelim fighter. Bye.